What does sister extortion, psychopathic marines, and apocalyptic paranoia have in common? Well, these are all characteristics of an infamous serial killer in the 80s by the name of Leonard Lake. He either went by Leonard Lake or by the name of his latest victim. This 80s serial killer was able to get away with a huge amount of torture, rape, and murder cases of, at the highest, 25 people. For a lot of these crimes, he wasn't alone. He was frequently accompanied by fellow Marine Charles N.G. This will be the story of Leonard Lake, and he went from disturbed child who then became an honorable Marine and then into a crazed, suicidal serial killer everybody today knows him to be. Now, Leonard Lake grew up with two sisters, those of which he took nude pictures of and eventually extorted them with sexual acts. He was also said to have dissolved mice in his childhood and would later use this same method of dissolving to make the human being victims disappear. In his later life, when he was 19 years old, he turned to the military and joined the Marines as a radar technician. He was smart. This was the time where he met his future accomplice, Charles N.G., who would aid him in many tortures, rapes, and murders. He and Charles G. raped, tortured, and murdered no more than 25 victims, although N.G. was only sentenced to death for 11 of them. He was arrested shoplifting one day. When he was arrested shoplifting one day, Leonard Lake took a cyanide pill with a glass of water given to him by the authorities and died in the hospital 4 days later. While he was investigating Lake's property in Weasleyville, San Francisco, police found buried bodies. Lake's journal of the murders within the years 1983 to 1984. With that, they found a map that led them to buckets of the victim's identification. Also on the property, they found Lake's buried bunker he was creating in the case of any sort of apocalyptic happening. So, now you know the childhood of a potential serial killer might look like, and how they can be smart enough to be in something such as the military, and what they're willing to do in order not to get caught. As you have heard, Leonard Lake, being a sibling extortionist, a psychopathic Marine, someone with an apocalyptic paranoia, is clearly someone you wouldn't want to deal with. To be fair, you probably wouldn't deal with them. You would probably run away after hearing those facts. But you still need to be aware of these sorts of people, of everyone, because you don't know who you're dealing with, and if they are any of those I mentioned before, might be really trying hard to hide their identity, to hide their past, and to gain your trust. Why would they want to gain your trust? To lure into their traps. It's that age-old story our parents told us. Never get into a man's van who's offering you candy. And don't take any of this as me saying you shouldn't trust anyone. That's clearly not the story here. I am simply saying that it is extremely and incredibly important to know who you are dealing with whenever you decide to hand over your trust to people. And finally, I want to leave you with just a simple question. That being, what steps in your everyday life do you take to ensure your safety and the safety of others when meeting new people? Thank you.